All right, so first Friday, today we're going to talk about 9.1 version that has been released for a while. We're going to have this session monthly, not just about 9.1, but about any topics that is going to be in your interest. So the agenda for today is basically, version 9.1 for Business One as well as for HANA was introduced at the end of Q2. So it's been released for about a year so far. Right now the latest patch is PL8. And also 9.2 is going to come later, but I wanted to focus on some of the improvements and some of the things that are introduced in this version. And I wanted to also to show how to use those features and how to implement that so you can potentially do that yourself. This is the top level topics, and at the end of this presentation I will have links to this presentation and also to some other resources. We are not going to be able to cover everything in this session, so I chose some of the topics that I think are more critical and could change your daily business. And I'm going to focus on them and going to demonstrate them, though I'm open to talk about other 9.1 topics during the end of the call. So out of the big list that we have here, I have focused on some of those areas. So we're going to talk about some of the production enhancements in 9.1, like resources, BOM update, and some process improvement that SAP have made. We're going to talk about inventory cost valuation that introduced to do that by batch or serial number. In 9.1, there is a role-based user permission, so you can have permission for a group and assign it to relevant users. So not every user needs, to set up authorization individually. We're going to look how we hide business functions and how we move fields and how to set it up. We're going to talk about the configurable user interface, a part of the moving fields and part of the ability to configure the screen to every user a little bit differently. We're going to talk about data import via Excel that got enhanced and the ability to maximize grid, copy-paste to and from Excel, and to utilize the email and printing functionality, the mass email of invoices or statement to your customers. And I'm going to show you where you can get access to more documentation. And if time permits, we're going to talk about some other enhancements like the advanced GL account determination, multiple branches, pick and pack enhancement, and some MRP enhancement. We're going to work on the presentation, but also I'm going to show some of those things in Business One. So the first topic is the enhanced production module. So SAP are doing a big step in this direction. And I also hear that in 9.2 they're going to do some more enhancements. So the production module is something that SAP are going to enhance. It's been enhanced in 9.1 and it's going to proceed in coming versions. So for example, in 9.1 there is a new module to manage and plan resources. It's called resource capacity, which you can enter, what are the resources you're working with or the factories, what is their capacity, and based on the open orders and the planning, you can see if your resources are over, if they're overbooked or not. In addition, they enhanced the lines of the BOMs, so now you can add all kinds of other things like resource to the line of the BOMs as well as text, as well as play with the routing. It's not a full routing solution, but the full routing solution will be introduced in the next version in 9.2. But there are all kinds of nice features also around the ability to change BOMs. For example, if you have one component items in many BOMs and you want to replace it, now SAP introduced something called component management that will enables you to choose the different components among multiple BOMs. In addition, they enhanced some of the process, for example, the possibility to edit also all of the UDFs and some other information from the BOM are now coming into the production order, and that definitely makes the possibility around the production larger than what you have. So let's go to Business One. And let's see how it works. So under resources, you now have resource master data. So you can either enter resources like machines. You can enter a resource that will be a subcontractor that is doing some of the work for you. And you can have a resource that will be a labor. For any resource that you set up, you can set up different types of costs. For example, for the machine, I entered electricity and water, things of that nature, and we can give a cost to different types of resource costs. In addition, each one of the resource costs can be identified through a different GL account, so it's also in your accounting, you can know what you spend money on. Obviously, there are a lot of options here, and I'm not going to focus on this, maybe in one of the future presentation, but there is the capacity data, which you can see. Maybe I'll take a different resource that I have some data on. But basically, this shows you how many resources are available, how many are consumed, and how many are now in progress. The planning data could be defined here. And this is where you enter, how many hours you have each day, and you can define maybe multiple shifts, things of that nature. There are also all kinds of nice to have here, what employees and what kind of properties and attachments and remarks like we have in every master data function. This resource is also available under the production. So when you choose an item to produce, now you can have type that can be a resource, or it can be an item, or it can be a text that you can give all kinds of instructions of what to do during the manufacturing process. For example. Okay. In addition, each one of the line items could move to a different step during the process, and then that later will be part of the routing of Business One. One more nice feature that they added is the ability to do by product. And by product means when I finish that finished good, when I report completion and receive this item to inventory, I can define another item that will be received into inventory. So for example, if I add here another component, I can say that when I finalize the finished product, this item will enter also into inventory, and maybe in a quantity of 2. The way that I tell the system to receive this quantity as well is by entering a quantity of minus. So for example, if I enter -1, and I'll move this production to a release mode, now when I report completion on a backflash item, I see both items are going to be in the receipt from production, the finished goods, the 1200 SKU, as well as my A001 that will be received into stock because I entered the minus quantity here. So all kinds of different features about production, and maybe if I'll get requests, we can drill into that a little bit more. Again, any questions, feel free to enter in the chat on the right bottom side of the GoToMeeting, and I will answer them promptly. Inventory item cost valuation also introduced in 9.1, and that means if most of you up until now managed item cost by FIFO or by any other method, now SAP introduced a new valuation method called batch or serial number. And what it lets you do is basically track the item by the batch, because there might be some batch that you buy in one price, in another batch you buy in another price, or maybe also for serial numbers. The ability to track it by batch or by serial numbers let you calculate better gross profit when you sell it, because the system will look at the item cost and the cost of goods sold based on the batch that you are selling. So for example, if I go back to Business One, if I add a new item that I will call it batch or serial, maybe, and obviously I decided this item will be serial number on every transaction. I'm gonna give it a random price. Under the inventory data, if I had moving average standard to FIFO, now I have the option to have valuation method by serial or batch. I'm going to add this item, and what will happen every time when I receive it into inventory, for example, let's purchase this item through a good receipt PO. Just going to choose a random vendor, and I'm going to choose my item, which was cereal. It's not found in warehouse 1, so let's define it in warehouse 1. I'm going to enter a unit price of 75. Of course, because I received a serial number, the system will ask me to enter the serial number. Let's call it 1234. And we're going to add this document. Now we're going to create another document, maybe from the same vendor or from another vendor for the same item. And maybe even instead of 75, the price will be 80 now. Obviously, I need to define the 5678. Now I have a different serial number. Basically, now I have two costs on this item. And when I go to the inventory, I can always track the serial number transaction report, and I see that we have two items in different pricing. Now the trick is when I go to sell it, right? So if I do an AR invoice again for any customer, and I'm going to choose that serial item, I need to choose the serial number. Obviously, we see that the cost of this item will be different, and that will reflect in my cost of goods sold. So if I choose the item from the last batch of the $80, now I'm going to look at the journal entry preview before even adding that. Obviously, I need a tag, so I'm going to do exempt here. The system will calculate the cost of goods sold based on the batch I chose in the document. But if we're going to choose a different batch with 75, and I'm going to review my journal entry preview, now the system is going to look at the cost of goods sold and the gross profit based on the serial or the specific batch. Okay? So that covers kind of this new valuation method. Next feature I want to present you is the permission group. Basically the ability to have groups of employees instead of individuals. The authorization module is quite robust and obviously gives you many options, and I know some of you might have struggled with that, especially initially. Now it becomes much easier when you define a role instead of individual person, especially when you have so many users in the system. So the way it works, if we're going to go to the authorization module, the general authorization, so the traditional module still exists. The only difference is that now you have the authorization and also the effective authorization. Just an SAP created that just to make sure if some of the things we defined individually for an employee are going to overlap the group definitions. Because for a group, finance, sales, purchasing, or definitely you can create new groups. But for a group, you can define any authorization. The module is still the same modules and the authorization are still the same authorizations, but now you can assign a user with authorization group. Okay? So that's a new feature. Can you copy? I have a question from Laura. Can you copy a current user authorization to a new authorization group? That's a good question, Laura. Let me check if I can answer you promptly or follow up on this. Copy authorization. You can copy authorization now to individual employees, but I don't see an option to copy the authorization to a group. Let me see if I can copy from. Okay, that answers your questions probably. Where do you assign the authorization group to the user? That's a good question, and I think we can do that in the user setup. Authorization group. So when you define a user, for example, Alex, now you have a button to assign the group with the user. And maybe it enables you to define even two. Maybe there is employee that needs authorization to everything the finance does, but also to everything the group of sales does. So that gives you the option to choose even two authorizations group. And later on, you will see that same user, it will be reflect under his effective authorization. Does SAP provide pre-defined groups? Yes, the predefined groups are in the same module. So you have finance, sales, purchase, and inventory coming out of the box. And you can take the pre-defined groups and maybe adjust them to what you need. Rebecca. Okay, let's see if I missed any questions. No. All right, I'm going to proceed with the next topic, and the next topic is hiding business functions. Definitely, as Business One become more and more robust and serve companies that are larger and have hundreds of users, in some companies, they don't want to see all the features available, and some things can confuse different users. So now SAP added the option to ignore some of the things and some of the features available. And it's under the express configuration, but also it's available under the hide functions. So if we're going to go to the general settings, there is a new tab called hide functions. Hide functions have the ability to avoid all kinds of things. So if you don't use multiple unit of measure that was introduced in non-zero to convert between different unit of measure, you can ignore it. If you don't use serial number or batches, you can ignore it. Now, you can always bring it back. The system does not let me ignore the serial numbers because obviously we are working with serial numbers and batches, so I cannot hide it. So don't worry, if you're using some of the features and you're not sure if you can check it or not, the system will alert you. In addition, you can always bring it back. So tomorrow, if you want to start using unit of measure, it's as simple as unchecking that and starting to work with the same feature. So you have that, and you also have that menu of the firm settings. So if you are in the main menu, and that was not a 9.1 feature, that was there for a while ago, you can always check things that you are not currently using. And that will eliminate the menu basically to the things that are mostly relevant. In addition, if you open that, you can get rid of specific menus. So for the end users, it's much more convenient to work with the system. By the way, how we connect that to authorization, if you set up authorization for a group or for a user, you can always go, when you're under the user account, you can go to the same form settings and click on apply authorizations. And the system will calculate what items you need, what modules you have under your authorization, and will expose them accordingly. So I'm a super user. Obviously, for me, the system shows all the modules and all the available features. Okay? So basically hiding those functions, for example, if I go to my sales invoice, and I see here all kinds of things like unit of measure code and unit of measure group and some things that I don't really need to see. I can hide them now. I don't need to adjust specifically the screen. It will not show up to any of the users. Okay? Let's proceed with configurable UI, and this is something really nice that SAP users asked for quite a while. Many add-ons did that in the past. Biome IT, core systems, and also third waves had this feature to move fields around the screen, to hide fields. But those were add-ons that are sitting on your systems, and obviously now it's part of the core systems. So let's see how that feature works and how you can implement it in your companies. So what it gives you, any screen now, if I go to invoice or any other screen, now has, if you are authorized for that, you can do edit form UI. Edit form UI brings you to a UI edit mode. And what that gives you is the option to do all kinds of things. For example, there are some menus that you don't want to see or are not in use, you can hide them. There are some things you want in a different place. Maybe the ship to, I know at least some of our customers want to see that in the main screen. So what you can do now is you can click on that to mark it, and then you can move it to the relevant place. You can also move the whole section a little bit up to give it some more room. After saving that, now the ship to is in place. I'm gonna leave the UI edit mode, and now this is my invoice. Every time I'm going into an invoice, I'm gonna have that ship to here, and I can process the invoice or the PO or the business partner from here. It does require some configuration because you need to go screen by screen and modify it the way you like, but it gives you the freedom to do anything on any object in Business One. So for example, you want to make sure the data entry person, when they enter the business partner, is not confused. So again, you can go to the edit mode. You can hide fields, industry, I don't care about it, so I'm gonna hide it. You can enable fields also for specific users, and I will show you later how to do that. There is a question, can you change the size of a field? No, I don't think you can change the size of the field. No, it doesn't let me this option, but it's a good suggestion to SAP. I'm going to write it down, and based on your feedback, and I'm going to write an email to my colleagues at SAP. So change the size of a field. One thing I already suggested them is maybe have a color to color different fields in different color, which is not available. This is just the beginning of the UI edit mode. In addition, you can take some of your UDFs that are on the side and bring them into the screen. So if you have any custom field that you have, now you can bring it into the business partner master data and have it as any other regular field. If you want to go back to the default, you can always say restore default DI. Yes, that brings you to the default system mode, and then we can save it and leave the UI edit mode. So that's what every user that have authorization to that can do. As administrator, you can do that for specific users. So different users can see different screens. And how you do that? You're going, there is a setup for that. I think it was under general. Or under utilities. Sorry, under utilities, UI configuration template. Thanks, Carol. Under UI configuration templates, you can go to add mode to add new templates. I already have test 2. And then I can choose the forms I want to edit. So for example, I'm going to edit the, the PO, for example, or the good receipt, or any other form, sales order. And I'm going to edit maybe also the delivery. And I'm going to edit maybe the item master data and things of that nature. So this is test 2. And then I click on the, first I'm going to add the test 2 because you see it's grayed out. I need to edit first. Now after edit, I have multiple templates. Each template I can configure separately, edit the UI, move fields, maybe year-to-date sales that I have a formatted search behind to be in the respective place where I want the user to see them, and save. That's all. And obviously, if I saved, I can leave the UI mode. Next time I'm gonna go to the same edit mode, it's already with a driver and year-to-date sales. Okay. In addition, I can assign users. So I can assign specific users to the test 2 and maybe other users to the test 1. So now some users will see the screen in one way and some users will see the screen in another way. One limitation that I have found here that I cannot assign to super users, which is quite annoying, and I already communicated with SAP. It doesn't make sense for them as well, and they will fix that. But definitely this is quite a robust module that eliminates the need to use all kinds of add-ons, and which will maintain your environment lean, easier upgrades, easier maintenance on the environment, and definitely faster performance and better experience from the user perspective. By the way, what that will enables you to do when you define it like that, it's not just that. In many cases, when you now do, for example, disable, now you can disable a specific user from entering a specific field. So some user can be entitled to a specific configuration template that can update this field, and some other users cannot update this field. So now with the authorization, if it up until now it was based document or based on an object, now you can customize any field according to what you want to do. All right, if there are any other questions, I'm gonna proceed. One more thing I wanted to show here maybe is the ability when you go into the form settings, you have all kinds of options in the headers, in the contents, in the different rows. Each one of them, you can decide if it's going to be visible or not, so you can do that in an easier way instead of hiding one by one. And you can also say some will be active, some will not be active, some will be grayed out. So I can get off the remarks, take off all kinds of things, delivery date I do want to see, but maybe I don't want anybody to touch to be able to touch the document date, things of that nature. So that's how I can do that in an easier way. Okay, so I see no questions. I will move forward to the next topic. The data import via Excel. I know all of you probably familiar with the DTW that enables us to upload almost any object in Business One, journal entries, transactions, sales orders, almost anything that can be done through DTW, the Data Transfer Workbench. But there is another tool that has been in Business One actually even before the DTW, and now they extended that. And sometimes it's easier for an end user to utilize this tool versus additional tools like the DTW. This tool is available within SAP, and now if before that it was very limited, now it enables you to update yourself, UDFs objects or almost any attributes from business partners, as well as items which are the main master data. So let's see how that works. I think it's also under the utilities. Or not. Data import export, sorry, under administration they moved that. Under administration data import export, there is data import or export to transaction from Business One. So you can export transaction from one company and import that in another company if you wish. But the import, this is what got enhanced. Basically now you can have a CSV file or tax delimited file and choose, those are the columns in the Excel. Whatever columns in Excel you have, you can map them to Business One. So for example, this is the code, this is the name, and all, many of the business partner attributes, as well as all kinds of UDFs that we added in the database. You can now also update existing records. Before that, it was just update and import. Now you can just update and have all kinds of options like save templates and use a specific template that you always use. For example, under the items, you can do that. I don't know if you get from your vendor's pricing file. This is, for example, one option to do that. So you enter the item number and the price list code. That brings some other attributes like the currency that you can leave empty and the unit price, and basically use that feature to update on a monthly or weekly base the pricing you get from your vendor. Okay, let's look at the maximize grid now. The maximized grid is basically when you have one document with many lines. It could be hectic to go between different items and to search for them and to add and things of that nature. So what you can do now is basically maximize the grid. Every time you see a grid, you can maximize it. I don't know, for example, if I'm going to incoming payments window, okay? And let me choose a client that has a big balance. Hopefully they have many documents. You see, it could be quite hectic to go between documents also, but it's also available in any document. What you can do now is basically maximize the grid. So now you are working on an easier form and you can see just the lines. If you want to go back to the grid, easier way, right click anywhere on the screen, maximize grid. So again, maximize grid, choose the relevant transaction or process what you want to do, and restore grid will leave you with the same selection choice. I think that also connects me with the copy paste from and between Excel. I know we could always export to Excel, but what you're going to see now is much more cooler and much more easy from a user perspective. It can save your users hours of work. Because, for example, if I take this form, I can always copy table now. Not export to Excel, choose this file type, get the question if you want to import or not want to import, things of that nature. You can now just copy the table, and let me open here a new Excel and paste it to Excel. Hold on, I have a question from Laura. Is there a commodity non-reason nothing would happen when you maximize grid? Yes, Laura. I think this feature is available in 9.1, but I think it was a little bit buggy in versions 4 and 5 and also 6, if I'm not mistaken. But now I'm in the last PL, and I think they fixed it. They also fixed it in PL 7. So it might be the case if you're on PL4 that this feature might not work. But it does work, and I tested that starting from PL7. In addition, if you're going to a sales order and you have all those nice items, you can always, in a sales order, everywhere you have a grid, you can copy table and just paste it in Excel. But what is interesting is not just that, because I can do the opposite way. So if you get an order form from your customer that is, for example, in Excel form, you can now, if it's in the same order, and you can make it obviously in the same order, you can now copy that. And for example, if I'm going to do a new order for a customer, I can now just paste it. So I don't need DTW, things of that nature. Question from Miranda, can you do that in a query? It was actually, yes, the question is yes, and it was actually in a query even before. So for example, if I take a query that I have here, BP balances, first you can do copy table, but actually in 9.0 they introduced the copy table, so you can do both. I think the copy table normally works for me better, because it copies exactly the table that you are looking at. For example, if I'm gonna filter this table and I'm gonna say show me only account balances that are greater than 100. So when I do copy data and paste it in Excel, from some reason the system shows me the rest of the query as zeros. Because it kind of look at what you have, but also the filter ones it shows with 0. I think that when you do that with the copy data, it does it well and copy exactly what you want to copy, the things that are, after the filtering. So that's a nice feature to have. And by the way, Miranda, it's available anywhere in the system when you have a grid. So I don't know if some of you are using Forecast for the MRP. Now you can, instead of using DTW to upload data, there is a grid here. You can just paste here the information based on your Excel or any forecast you got from your customers. So anywhere in the system where you have grid, now you can maximize grid and minimize grid, and you can also copy paste to and from Excel in an easier way. Any other questions? All right. So we're going to proceed. Simplify email and printing, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's our one of our last topics to talk. So SAP added an option. They started to extend that. I'm hearing that they're going to do some more improvements in the future, but they added the option to email and do batch emailing from SAP. It's not 100% amazing, but it works very well, and with some workarounds, it can work very, very well for you. They also added an option instead of just print a document when you add an invoice, for example. Now you can also email a document with the ad or export to PDF. They added an email group under contacts, so maybe two contacts from the same company can receive the invoice if that's the requirement. So let's see how that works. I'm going to go back to Business One. And basically, under the print preferences, now you have for every document, you can define if that's going to be sent in an email, what's going to be the email default subject, and what's going to be the email body. And you can do that for multiple documents. You can do that for invoice, you can do that for PO or any other documents in the system. So what it does, basically every time I'm doing an AR invoice, now I'm choosing again a random customer, and I'm choosing a random item. As soon as I edit, by the way, this is a new feature from PL6. You know all those questions? You can now say, remember my answer, so it will not show that again. And click on yes. From now on, I will not see this message again. Now, as I edit the invoice, the system tells me, do you want to attach an edited report? And I will say yes. And now I have the email ready to be sent with the PDF in it and with the predefined text. So you don't need to choose the contact and to retype the text, and the email is already here. That you can do with any documents and also with PLD. The problem with that functionality is using the wizard. If you want to, for example, run all your invoices today without sending them, and maybe at the end of the day batch send all those invoices to all the customers, so you don't have to do that one by one, that could be done through the printing documents. Okay, so if you have the document printing window and I have the AR invoice, I'm going to run it for today, or in my case, because it's a demo environment, I don't have many transactions, so I'm going to run it from the beginning of the month until today. And it will show me all the invoices that are open or that needs to be sent. I can mark them all, and if before I could do just print or print preview, now I have the option to click on the email. So clicking on the email, either clicking on the email clicking on the email will open the SAP Business One mailer, but I can also do send via Outlook email, which will take me through the same steps, but will open another window from Outlook. But if I demonstrate the email from Business One, it asks me, do you want to send only invoice? It generates the 4 different invoices, and it now asks me to which group do you want to send me? Which email group under the contact person do you want to send it? I want to send it to everyone I marked as invoice. Now click OK, and I have everyone. For some invoices, I see here 7 lines for invoices because some customers had multiple contact persons. For example, that Machina one. That Machina one, I have 2 contact persons, Anthony and Jennifer, and I have 3 invoices for them. So it will send those 3 invoices for them. I can also adjust it from here and maybe choose a different contact person. I can also specify a different email address, and I can also control the subject and the body email that is going to be here. Okay? Clicking on send will send it, and you will see all the sent items under your outbox. When it's been actually sent out, you will see this under the send messages. And if and also in your sent items if you work with Google. Let me see if we have any questions. One note about the batch emailing: when you send through a batch, the layout has to be crystal reports and not PLD. So you might have some effort to convert the PLD to a crystal report. And I have a question from Laura. Will this work if you use document generation wizard to invoice? Yes, that's true. So you can generate all your invoices and then run the batch email to send all of them an email. The other thing I wanted to show that I show really quick earlier, you probably know the message. If I just change a sales employee, for example, it asks me this weird question: update existing rows. And Business One basically say, yeah, I can have different sales employees to different rows, so do you want to update all of them in the rows as well? If your answer is always yes, you can always click on remember my answer and click yes. And next time you're gonna change a salesperson, the system will stop bugging you about that and will just update the rows because that was your selection. Same thing with bill to ship to addresses. If I change bill to, the system will always ask me, do you wanna? I think it's in the ship to actually. Update existing rows. I can say, remember my answer, please, and don't show me that. And from now on, it will remember my answer. Now, if I did that and regret, I can always change that. I think it's under the general. And it's going to be under messages preferences. This basically remembers all the preferences. And I can now, if I want to receive this question again, I can, or change my default, I can always remove it. And then when I change a ship to address, for example, it will ask me this question again. Make sense? So that's a nice feature. I think it produced in one of the latest PLs of 9.1. We are close to the end of the sessions. So I'm going to go through some. We love that feature. Thanks for the feedback, Carol. Appreciate it. The documentation that I have is really simple. I didn't want to overload you with too many things, but 3 areas when I thought could be helpful for you. One, and I will put everything in the GoToMeeting shortly, so you can copy them and have them for your records. Short videos on YouTube. So that basically for 9.1, SAP actually created many features specifically for 9.1 enhancements. So for example, if you want to work with, if you want to drill down into the production module, those are short videos, 5 to 10 minutes, it's not hours, that will take you through the basic functionality of the module to see if you can use it or not. So they have permission groups, the simple adaption of the screen, things of that nature. You can always Google and look at these videos of 9.1. There is the whole highlights of the 9.1, and there are topic specifics. For example, you can always also write in YouTube SAP Business One branch 9.1, and that will take you directly to the feature creeps on multiple branches, what it gives you, how it works, stuff like that. Okay, and as you see, it's only a 3 or 4 minutes video, so it's simple, straightforward. The second one is the full presentation, not just what I created today, but the full features presentation of 9.1, and it's available on our website. This is a direct link to the document and to the presentation that takes you through the full features that was presented at ASAG last year. This year I think they will present also 9.2, but that takes you through the whole module of 9.1, including all the things that I did today and more. And the third place to connect is at the SAP customer portal. It requires an S number that I hope all of you have. But basically, if I enter my password, it will open for me the customer portal for Business One. Documentation, I clicked on the documentation here, and release family here. It still stays in the same links. That's why I communicated to click on documentation family release 9. And there you have everything you want to know about 9.1, getting started, SDK improvements, B1I improvements, what's new in HANA, everything related to 9.1. There is videos as well as presentations, so you can go through that and explore what's new. As promised, I'm gonna copy those to the GoToMeeting window here, so you can have you can copy them to your area, and I will now open the lines for questions if there are any questions. We have only a few minutes, so we'll try to do that quick. And we started on time. We'll try to finish on time, and I will stop the recording now.